I just wanted to give a little background on how this came about and why we did it and what it represents. And I'll just read a little bit of the introduction that's in the booklets for the CD and then expound on that a little bit. Inspired by the Asian American and other movements of color in the late 1960s and early 1970s, Asian American musicians created art that directly engaged issues of identity, community, and social change. Music was seen as an integral part of the movement, providing a soundtrack for the political struggles to empower our communities. The first musical group to travel around the country and perform in various Asian American communities was Joanne Nobuko Miyamoto and the late Chris Kondo Ijima. And their songs and live performances were an inspiration to us budding musicians and us budding Asian Americans, as that was a term that was not used, I think, until our generation. Their songs, I remember Chris raving about a third musician, Charlie Chin, who co-wrote some of the songs and who Chris said would blow us away when we were finally able to see and hear him perform. And I finally met Charlie when he, Chris, and Joanne were interviewed by Asian media at KPFA, a radio station in Berkeley, in 1972. And I was part of the Asian media group at that time. We broadcast the show on the campus radio station, which had like 3 watts, and you could hear on the edge of campus. But also, somehow, we were able to get a weekly program on KPFA, which broadcast to a larger audience. And at that time, they sang some of their songs and talked about their music. And in fact, one of those songs is on Charlie's CD. They were able to somehow save the tapes and recently digitize them. They're not generally available to the public except for this one song. We shared them with the artists, but we felt that then that's for them to do something with if they want to. Charlie indeed did blow us away. We thought, oh my God, he's so good, and he's also famous in his own right. Before joining that group, he had his own group called Cat Mother and the All Night Newsboys, who had a couple of albums out, right, Charlie? And he's also known for playing the banjo on a Buffalo Springfield song. That was a country rock group in the 70s. And he was friends with Stephen Stills, who's a quite well-known musician. And Charlie shared that story with me, and if we're lucky, he'll share it with you. He's written some songs that he calls Asian American in aspect, and some of which are romantic in the other aspect. So it's not just, you know, I am Asian American, hear me roar kind of songs. Fast forward to 1979, when I was part of the Japantown Art and Media Workshop in San Francisco, Japantown. And it was a collection of artists and musicians who wanted to express being Asian American at that time. And the musicians wanted to put on a series of concerts, which we did partially as a fundraiser for the organization, but partly also to be able to share our music with our audiences. And so Charlie and Philip Kangotanda were part of actually the second concert that we put on. And this is, I still have the cassette tapes that we recorded directly off the sound system. And fortunately, they were still in good enough shape that we could convert them to and put them onto a CD. And really, I think the reason that we wanted to do that is because there's not many recordings of Asian American musicians from those days. We have some well-known musicians here, John Jang and Dr. Anthony Brown, who've done some very nice recordings since then. And of course, they're a little bit younger too. But from the earlier days, where it was really more folk-oriented music, that there's not much that's out there, and so we wanted to let people know that there were indeed people that were doing things, and they were relevant to us very much at the time. And some of them are a little bit political, and some of them are unfortunately relevant today again. But I'm one of Charlie's big fans, and I wanted to really let other people, hear and enjoy the music that Charlie brings. Unfortunately, Philip was not able to be here today, but we're going to have a couple more events, and actually there's some postcards at the counter that show where those other events are going to be on June 30th and on July 20th in the Bay Area. Let's see. To ask me to show you this. This is the album A Grain of Sand that Chris and Joanne and Charlie all performed on and wrote the songs for. This is the album Yokohama, California, which is also a CD now, which East Wind is selling. And I was a member of this group. And so we were, I would say, the second Asian American movement group, Charlie being part of the first. So let's hear from the original. And thank you again for coming, and thank you, East Wind, for hosting us. And here's Charlie Chin.
Oh, that's okay.